Welcome to Where They Wander. We're Kat and Kev, and we've lived in our RV on the road for 3 years. Welcome to Season 6. This week we have finally left the Pacific Northwest. We have headed south to Idaho and then all the way down to Utah. We get up close and personal with bison, grizzly bears. We meet up with some friends from Finding Our Someday. We even take a quick trip to Yellowstone with our friends. However, it was so busy we simply couldn't film. As we left the Pacific Northwest, we headed to Idaho to attend the Lippert Getaway. This was an excellent event sponsored by Lippert. All the activities and entertainment was free, including our meals. We took a bus tour with our friends Corey and Jess from Finding Our Someday to Yellowstone, but it was crazy busy, so we didn't film. It was great to meet up with Corey and Jess again and to meet Melissa and Nathan from Less Junk, More Journey. We highly recommend Island Park RV Park on the edge of Henry's Lake in Idaho if you're looking to visit Yellowstone and have a relaxing, beautiful stay. Next stop, the Grizzly and Wolf Discovery Center in West Yellowstone.
Here we are at the Grizzly Discovery Center.
We're gonna go see grizzly bears and wolves.
Opened in the summer of 1993, the then-named Grizzly Discovery Center began giving visitors to the area a greater understanding of grizzly bears. The sanctuary was the dream of Lewis S. Robinson, who wanted a safe place for bears that were removed from the wild and neighborhoods, saving them from certain death. The center operated as a for-profit while a wolf exhibit and 10 captive-born wolves were added in 1996. In the summer of 1999, a non-profit was formed. They are currently building a new, much larger bear enclosure.
Hi, puppy. Hi, buddy. How are you? Oh, there's another one over there. They're laying in the sun. When you come to the Wolf and Grizzly Discovery Center, you're not going to just get wolves and grizzlies. You're going to get golden eagles.
Amazing birds of prey.
Like this one right here, golden eagle.
This is Aquila. She was hit by a propane truck in 1990, and sadly her injuries meant that she could no longer fly. So she was brought here and is living out her life.
Found the bald eagles. Here we go. 3 of them right here. Well, we're about to go see the grizzlies.
Well, there's a dude in the grizzly bear enclosure right now, so I'm going to say that it's not in there.
He's hiding food in the rocks. He's putting pieces of bone and meat. What's the thing that you have the most fun with the bears when you're here with them?
It is very fun to always watch them do container testing. So we'll test containers
Oh,
for
neat.
bear-resistant containers.
Oh, right, yes.
Yes, we do those tests here. And it's incredible to watch how our bears have learned how to open those different containers.
My
they know where the
goodness.
weak points tend to be. They
Right.
will focus on them. They're very smart
Yeah.
and very experienced.
So we've watched him put the food out, and he's done some kind of crazy things with them.
He is hiding the food for our bears.
We're about to see Condi and Sealy, and Sealy is 455 pounds and Condi is 429 pounds. And they're about to come out to get some food. Condi and Sealy are female sibling grizzly bears from the Sealy-Swan Valley area near Condon, Montana. Condi has a little lighter color coat. They were born in 2019 and arrived at the sanctuary that fall. While in the wild, with their mother and another sibling, they got access to human foods by visiting porches, garbage cans, dumpsters, and even 2 kitchens in residential areas, as well as chicken coops, outbuildings, and bars, mostly during daylight hours. Despite efforts by Montana wildlife officials to keep them wild, the frequency and boldness of these incidents forced the officials to euthanize the mother and relocate the cubs to the Grizzly and Wolf Discovery Center. The 3rd sibling was never captured.
So bears in this area, they eat about 3/4 plants, 1/4 meat. And so plants will be fruits, vegetables, grasses, flowers, nuts. And so we'll hide mostly fruits and veggies in habitat. You're going to see him burying it under those rocks and logs. That is to encourage our bears to forage just like a wild bear.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
And then they obviously do get meat, so that's going to be bison, deer, elk, beef, sheep, fish. But we mix that in their den, so we give it to them back in that den building, just so the ravens that hang out here are not stealing it from our bears.
We're now on Antelope Island, and it's on the Great Lake, the Great Salt Lake in Utah, and we are doing the visitor center. The lake is very, very low. We have been here before many years ago when all of our children were very young, but now we're going to head to the visitor center, and then we're going to do the drive, which takes you kind of like along the coast. So let's head up to the visitor center. Antelope Island is amazing. It's beautiful. It's very nice for us to be back in the desert, not a cloud in the sky. So we'll show you some bison as we see them along the way. We are staying at Bridger Bay Campground, which is right there, which is on the bay, and then we come up here to the visitor center. The island is actually really quite huge, and there's tons of trails here. You can do the trails with a bike, you can hike, or you can ride your horses. We're here at the visitor center. Kev said it looks a bit like a bunker, which is not.
Shelter.
It does, doesn't it?
This window gives you a great view of the causeway you cross to reach the island.
It's called Antelope Island because the first visitors here actually caught antelope and they were grateful for the meat. However, it is really famous for its bison. I didn't know they had bighorn sheep here, but they've been here since 1997, and also mule deer. So this is not a dead lake, even though it's incredibly salty. It isn't dead. There are lots and lots of birds here. It's a world-class bird habitat, as you can see. We have almost 10 different species of birds that love to be here, and there are also brine shrimp and flies. Now, flies are not very popular, but of course, you know, they all do a job. We came down to the headquarters because we wanted to see the buffalo, bison, or they're not called buffalo. He's right there.
Oh dear.
We wanted to see the bison corral, which is just a big corral. But look who's here. Look, the park staff are trying to move him on, but he's not. He's not going anymore. He's just like, no, I'm going to be in the parking lot with you guys.
This is the bison corral. This is where they herd the bison to get their shots and be reviewed by the vet before being sold to other herds.
We've been to Yellowstone, we've been to the Grand Tetons, we've been to Glacier, never seen this many buffalo, and certainly not that close. Oh my goodness. If you're enjoying this video, please hit that like and subscribe button to let YouTube know.
You can also support us as we support small businesses around the USA by becoming a member on YouTube.
Now we are going to do the shoreline drive, which is 11 miles, so that's 22 miles out and back, and we'll see what we can see on that. The majority of things to see here on Antelope Island State Park are at this end of the park. They are at the northernmost end, the southernmost end of the park. Hold on. I love sounding like I know what I'm doing. Oh no, it is, I was right, the northernmost end of the park. So now we are going to head south to the Garr Ranch. Garr was the first person to inhabit the island, and he did so in 1848. Just 12 bison were brought here in 1893. Now they have over 500 in their herd, and they sell them and breed them so other parks can also have bison, which is pretty amazing. The Garr Ranch was first settled in 1843 and represents 133 years of Western ranching history. While exploring the ranch, you can learn its colorful past and discover many periods of history are represented here. Evidence can be found from the earliest pioneers to a fully modernized 20th century house. The Garr Ranch is a great place to explore change over time and compare historical periods with one another. They had sheep here, and they moved them here each spring from the 1930s to the 1950s. Originally, in the mid-1800s and then later, they would herd their sheep and they would take them to Salt Lake and then up Emigration Canyon for their summer pastures. But in the 1940s, lawmakers said that they had to use wagons because people complained that the sheep ruined their land. But as you can see, this was a wool packing area. This was not where they slaughtered sheep or anything like that. These are the pens that we just saw, and they used mechanized equipment later on to shear the sheep. Wages were calculated on a monthly basis. You worked 7 days a week from sunrise to sunset. Wage scale: ranch hands earned $150 a month, sheep herders $175, and the foreman earned $200. This right here is the frame for a tent, and they would use them to keep the newborn lambs warm. To the left of the main barn, there are all of these stalls, and these are very cool, aren't they, where the tack was kept. This is pretty awesome. This equipment you see here is called a log dog. It hooked into a log and attached to a harness so a team of horses could pull a load to any location. Gosh, that looks like it would have been hard work, wouldn't it? Ranch residents use wagons for hauling crops, livestock, and supplies, and people. Island weather and road conditions often made wheel transport very difficult. Eventually, trucks replaced wagons as a more efficient and cost-effective mode of transport and movement of supplies. During low water years, a sandbar was exposed on the southeast end of the island, and trucks could cross this using the natural land bridge. I love these old trucks. This is the blacksmith shop, and this was hugely important to the ranch. Over 10,000 sheep were kept here on Antelope Island, and everything that needed to be fixed or repaired or even made had to be done here, because of course trips to the store were not easily and readily available. But look at how well preserved all of this is. It's so wonderful. What do you think, Kev?
It's great.
Yeah.
There's giant bolt cutters there to cut pieces of iron.
Oh my goodness, yeah, look at the size of that thing. More great tools here. Some of these tools look like the tools my dad had. He definitely had a drill like this, and these ones at the back here, so can't be that old.
It's a shepherd's wagon. It's an RV.
Oh, really? Let's have a look. I like these old ambles. So this is the tack shop, which is very, very cool. A lot of history, a lot of boards here that you can read and learn more about the ranch. Check this out. It's the herder's wagon. But come on, it's an RV. It reminds me of the wagon from Wizard of Oz. Oh my gosh, look at this, guys. It's got a stove, a wood-burning stove. That's a bit frightening. A little kitchen, lots of storage and seats. I wouldn't want to get full-grown men in here, my goodness. And look at that mattress, guys. Never complain about your RV mattress again.
It's just a sheep herder and his dog.
Oh, one sheep herder and his dog lived in here.
Yeah, just one at a time. Out with the herd.
But look at this, wood-burning stove in an RV. That's always awesome. You sometimes see them in schoolies, don't you, Kev? In 1948, Fielding Garr started his ranch on Antelope Island, and originally there was just a modest log cabin here. Within 2 years, he'd expanded the ranch compound to include an adobe ranch house and all these other outbuildings. Shortly after Garr came to the island, the LDS Church assigned him, this is Salt Lake, assigned him to watch over their large cattle herd here. The ranch was continually inhabited from that time until 1981, when the state of Utah purchased Antelope Island. The LDS Church operated the ranch until the mid-1870s. During this era, ranching operations encompassed the entire island. In 1869, the railroad came to Utah, and with it came the first federal surveys of the land. Because the only improvements on the island were around the ranch itself, the federal government opened the rest of the island to homesteading. By the turn of the century, most of the homesteads had sadly failed, and they'd failed to prove any claims of anything, and John Dooley Sr., an enterprising businessman and rancher, purchased the entire island for $1 million, and it became the home of his Island Improvement Company. This is the root cellar, and this is where the foreman's wife would have kept all of her food that she had canned and pickled, and all of the food that they would need for the year would have been stored in here. So the ice house is our last house on the tour. It was called the Spring House, and it was the first refrigerator on Antelope Island. Power was not available here until the 1950s, so it was water evaporating in this room that kept it cool enough to store milk and cheese. Let's head on inside. Oh, here we are, entering the ice house. this would have been the refrigerator of the 1840s. And pretty cool, haha, see what I did there? Pretty ingenious of them to use the water evaporation, and this is where they store dairy products and eggs. Currently, there are 750 bison on the island. At the end of this month, they will corral them all to that big corral that we visited. They round them up, they keep some of them, and then they tag the ones they're going to keep, and then others they sell online. And the lady told us they sell for about $1.58 to $1.50 a pound. And they only sell them live, and then they sell them to places like Yellowstone, the Grand Tetons, South Dakota, so then they can have fresh blood in their herds for breeding stock, etc. Here's Kev. And here are the dogs being surprisingly well behaved, considering that right there is an entire herd of bison. They were rolling over a minute ago, which is really cute. It's amazing.
We hope you enjoyed our time heading south. Join us next week as we jump ahead 6 months to after Kat's first hip surgery onto Lake Havasu in Arizona.